Hey guys, thank you so much for being really patient while I have been ill this month. Pretty much this entire month I have not been feeling well, but I'm finally to a point where I can sit down and actually make content for you guys, so thank you so much as usual for being patient. For today's video, I am on the character that I made specifically for my Beginner's Guide series. So there are no classified builds on this character. I'm going to show you the builds that I have put together to actually farm for classified gear, because although I have lately been using this character kind of for storage while I've been back to playing my main characters, there are some classified pieces on here, but I have not made any classified builds. I've just been throwing together random gear set builds and some high-end builds, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. So I'm going to show you the builds that I've ended up sticking with, and I'll explain some other builds that I had put together, but I got rid of them, and I'll explain why I did that. So starting out with two builds, I have two different striker builds. One of them is with a rapid chest piece and the savage gloves, and the other build that I have is with two nomad pieces to unlock the 15% health on kill. I'll go over the one with the rapid chest piece first. This is mainly just so I can get my booster back faster, and I have the savage gloves to give me extra critical hit chance. I run this a lot in the dark zone, or just, it's my usual run and gun build on this character for now. And this one's basically all based off crit, so everything is either stamina or firearms mods with critical hit chance on them. The rapid chest piece has enemy armor damage and health, and everything else is pretty much rolled into critical hit. The critical hit as it sits is pretty good. I think I'm almost at 40%. I think it's like 38.5. And all of the performance mods are pulse critical hit chance mods, because I'm usually running this with a pulse in the dark zone. The primary gun is an M4 with deadly, responsive, and I think vicious is on the bottom. And the secondary is vicious and predatory. I would ideally want unforgiving and predatory, but that's just what I got the first try, and I wasn't going to sit there and re-roll a showstopper over and over. If you don't have a showstopper, you can use anything you want as your secondary. Obviously, the showstopper's like a really, really highly favorited weapon for striker, because you can get your stacks back a lot quicker. If you don't have the showstopper, you can run whatever you want. A lot of people like to run the Super 90s or the SASGs, or at least that's what I would do if I didn't have that as a secondary. But really, I just like something that I can switch to use predatory and then go back to my main weapon. For the gun talents, you can use whatever you would like. I do have a tier list for the talents in my weapons video. You can go check that out if you would like to. And that way you can kind of get an idea of what talents are good and which ones aren't so good. Another thing that you might notice as well is that, maybe not on this build specifically, but not all of the rolls are great. Like, for example, I don't have things optimized on these characters. I might optimize the holster if I optimize anything, but I just don't think that it is a good use of your materials to optimize just basic gear set items. I would wait to use that for your classified pieces, but if you would like to do that, absolutely feel free. You get an idea of how the optimization works if you start doing it whenever you would like to. As far as the nomad pieces, I believe they're the same rolls as everything else. I just switch out the savage gloves for nomad gloves and the chest piece for a nomad chest piece. This gives me 15% health on kill, so I really like to use this for dark zone, especially during like contaminated events, because obviously you don't have the benefit of the passive healing with the classified striker, so having some kind of health back is a really good way to utilize nomad. The only thing that I might do differently here is the chest piece does have health actually, so if you run health, it's going to benefit more from like the health on kill. So if you wanted to run health, for example, on like your backpack or your holster or whatever, you could do that if you want to. This also helps out with predatory. The next build that I have on this character is DeadEye, and DeadEye is one of the few gear sets that when it's non-classified, it's still extremely strong as it is. So I like to use DeadEye a lot, mainly like for open world stuff, like doing boss farming and whatnot. It's not the best to use like in the dark zone unless you are pretty comfortable with it. I did manage to get a classified DeadEye backpack, so I've been using that as my classified piece, and as you can see, DeadEye here gives you 20% marksman rifle critical hit damage for the 3-piece bonus, and the 4-piece bonus will unlock the guaranteed critical hits as long as you are scoped in and in cover, but if you are out of cover, it's still a 50% chance that you're going to land a critical hit. For the weapon, I'm using an M700 carbon with deadly prepared, and I've decided to try out unforgiving. here. I would not recommend this. I'm still kind of working with it so far. It has been pretty crazy, but I would recommend it more on like in a semi-auto gun, like an SVD or something. I wouldn't go straight for this on like a bolt action rifle. I am using a nimble holster for this build, but half the time I forget that I even have it. You could use just like whatever classified holster you have just to give you some extra firearms. And as you can see here, I do have a classified holster for DeadEye, but since it is not all classified pieces, I am not unlocking the 5-piece bonus for DeadEye. So keep that in mind that if you are wanting to unlock 5 or 6-piece bonuses, it has to be all classified gear. So for this, I've decided to just unlock, or just use Nimble, just as like a passive kind of talent. And I am using a Reckless chest piece with enemy armor damage. Instead of Skill Haste, you could run Health, but Skill Haste actually works out a little bit better because it gets my booster shot and my damage pulse back a lot faster. And for this build, I am using, as you can see here, the Tactical Scanner and the booster shot. Gives me 15% critical hit damage on top of that. For the talents, I am using Tactical Advance. This increases your damage by 2% per meter covered during a nimble, and to a maximum of 30, and 30 is a lot of extra damage on top of a sniper build that's already strong. So you don't have the bonus for very long, it's only 5 seconds, but it will pretty much guarantee a one-shot hit on the first kill. And then I am using, of course, Steady Hands for some better recoil. And I'm also using tech support. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. I like to use it for DeadEye because it usually increases the duration for my pulsed enemies. So if I kill the first enemy, it's going to increase my skill duration of other pulsed enemies for however much amount. This is really only good against like NPCs, obviously, so you don't have to run this. You could run Critical Save instead, and then of course I run Strike Back to get those skills back quicker if I'm low health. The next build that I have here is my handy dandy Tactician build. Pretty much any Tactician build that you make will be beneficial as long as your electronics are high. Everything here is with sticky bomb damage performance mods equipped. I have the Tenebrae just as a secondary to get, like, if I happen to hit some hit points or some weak points, I can get my skills back. I'm using the Inventive Backpack here. Pretty much a standard Tactician build here. All of my gear mods are electronics with skill power, I believe. I might have a skill-based mod here. I'm running Reclaimer Braces just because it's going to give me more electronics towards the overall total, and I didn't really have any other pieces that I could have run here. I can't run a 5-piece bonus because I don't have classified gear for this build. You could run a Reckless chest piece instead. To my knowledge, your skills will do more damage. I didn't want to do that, I guess. I didn't have like an electronics chest piece for that. This build doesn't have the best skill haste. This is only 31%. On my other characters, I believe you can get like up to 40 something skill haste, which is a lot. But I mean, it's just a gear set, it's a non-classified gear set, so it's not going to be the best of the best. Now, the builds that I had made in addition to this, one of them was a defense build, or D3 FNC, and this build allows you to equip an SMG with a ballistic shield if you have all 4 pieces of the gear set equipped. I just feel like that build is so, I guess not situational, but you're just so limited to what you can and can't use because of that. You have to make the build a very specific way in order for it to be any good, and essentially it's all spec'd into stamina, so you're a pure tank, and if you're playing as a pure tank when you're solo, it's just not very fun. If you were playing if you're playing with friends or you're in a team fairly often, defense can be a lot of fun, but I would say in the Dark Zone it's not as beneficial. That's just my opinion, though. I might still revisit the idea of remaking the build in the future, but for right now, I scrapped it because I was not happy with it, and honestly, using SMGs is not very effective. At least not anymore. Unless you're running the house with a very specific SMG dedicated build. Another build I had on this character originally was Reclaimer. I had a 4-piece Reclaimer build with a rapid chest piece and a refreshed mask on. The only reason I didn't keep that build is because I never run in a group. I'm pretty much solo 24/7. And whenever I would manage to get into a group, like to do a legendary mission or something, they usually already had a Reclaimer. So the Reclaimer is a really good build to have, even if it's just like a basic gear set and not classified. But for the simple fact that I am usually by myself, and someone else has already got Reclaimer by the time I get into a group with somebody, it just wasn't worth the wasted loadout slot on the character. So I would definitely recommend using a reclaimer build or making one. It's just that I personally don't have one. It's a really easy build to throw together. Just spec into all electronics with ally heal mods or yeah, just ally heal mods. And then for a secondary skill, I would like to run the flashbang because you usually have a lot of skill haste to get the flashbang back frequently for your team. So that's what I would recommend for that. And finally, the last build that I had on here, which I actually deleted like on accident because I got into like a spree of deleting stuff, but it was an alpha bridge build. It was a 4-piece alpha bridge, and I think I had 2 variants of it. I had one with 2 banshee pieces, and I had one with that was basically the same as my striker build. So I had a rapid chest piece and the savage gloves. Alpha bridge is a very, very strong build. So if you are running Dark Zone and you don't want to run like the striker, for example, Alpha Bridge is an excellent build to run because if you can get 4 pieces of it, you can unlock any weapon talent regardless of the requirements. So Alpha is very strong. Like I said, I just deleted it on accident because I got like trigger happy deleting my stuff, and I accidentally deleted my Alpha Bridge. So no big deal though. I have like a classified 6-piece on another one of my characters, and it's not gonna be too hard to farm back for that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend running Alpha Bridge. It does not have to be just for PvP. You can run it in the open world as well, and it's very effective. But yeah, these are the builds that I'm currently running on my 3rd character, the character that I originally made for my Beginner's Guide series. None of them are classified, but they do have some classified pieces. If there are any builds that you guys would like to see me try or to just see me build and have me make a video on them, just let me know in the comments. I am going to make a video here pretty soon on the builds that I use on my actual main character. So this is my go-to character, the builds that I always have available to me. And I will probably upload that sometime either this weekend or this week. So if you have any other questions, just let me know down in the comments. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
Can't believe the bullshit that went down in the Dark Zone at the end there. I know. We had it. Everything I told them was dead on. They made us pull out anyway. And we left our dead behind. Yeah, we're not supposed to do that. Hang on a second.